Welcome to today's math lesson on coordinate geometry. This is part 4 and we will look at horizontal and vertical lines. First, a horizontal line is a line that goes from left to right or right to left. And the definition says that all horizontal lines have equations of the form y equals to k. Here, y, we're talking about the y coordinate, such as the 2's right here. K indicates any number. So for example, if I have a coordinate 3 and 2 and this is point A, my x coordinate is a 3 and my y coordinate is 2. For point B, my x coordinate is 5 and my y coordinate is 2. For point C, my x coordinate is -4 and my y coordinate is 2. So notice that all my y's equals to 2 for point A, B, and C. And let's see what happens when we plot these 3 points. Do you remember how to plot points? Step 1 is to start at the origin. Then we have to move along the x-axis. And then move along the y-axis. So before we plot, let's label our axis first. The vertical is the y and the horizontal is the x. Now starting at the origin, let's plot point A. Point A has the x coordinate of a +3. So it means that I need to go 3 steps to the right. Then it has the y coordinate 2. So it means that I need to move up 2 steps. So my point A will be sitting here. So plot point A, and this has the coordinates 3 and 2. My next point is B, and it has the x coordinate of 5 and the y of 2. So let's start at the origin. Then the x coordinate of +5 means I have to go 5 steps to the right, and from here 2 steps up along the y-axis. So this point here would be my point B. Might use a different color. So 5 and 2 right here, B. And this is 5 and 2. And lastly, my point C has the x coordinate of a -4 followed by a y coordinate of 2. So starting the origin, I will now go -4 along the x-axis, meaning it has to go to the left 4 steps. Then from here, the y coordinate of 2 means I need to move up 2. So this point here would be my point C. So C has the coordinates -4 and 2. And let's see what happens when we connect these 3 points. You find that they form the horizontal line, and you can have many more points, keeping the y as a 2, because that's what we decided that the value of k will be for this particular question. And so once you connect all those points where the y coordinate equals to 2, you will have a horizontal line. A vertical line goes from up to down or down to up. And it says that the vertical lines have the equations of the form x equals to k. Once again, this means that the x coordinate equals to a certain number. So here we have the 3 points. Point D has the x coordinate of a 2 and the y coordinate of -3. Point E has the x coordinate 2 and the y coordinate 5. Point F has the x coordinate 2 and the y coordinate 7. So you can see that with this example here, all of my x coordinates equal to 2. So with my example, I can write and say my x's equal to 2. So in this case, my k is a 2. Now let's go ahead and plot these 3 points. Starting at the origin, point D has the x-coordinate of 2. Now 2 along the x-axis, so going 2 to the right, and y, I have -3. So this time I need to be going downwards 3 steps, so here would be my point D. And my point D will have coordinates 2 and -3. Then my point E has the x-coordinate of a 2 and the y-coordinate of 5. So once again, starting at the origin, I have to go 2 along the x-axis, so 2 steps to the right, and from here I need to go 5 steps along the y, so 5 upwards. So this point here would be my point E. And my E has the coordinates 2 and 5. And lastly, my point F has the x-coordinate of a 2 and the y-coordinate 7. So starting at the origin, 2 along the x-axis, so going 2 steps to the right, and from here 7 along the y, so I need to go 7 steps upwards. And so this would be my point F. My F has the coordinates 2 and 7. Now let's see what happens when we connect these 3 points. We can see that it forms a straight line, and it is a vertical line. It means that if I can come up with more points and label it, say if I have point G, my x-coordinate just has to be 2, and my y can be any number. It will still be part of this vertical line. So this vertical line will stretch downwards, and it'll also stretch upwards. So any point where it has the x-coordinate of a 2 and any y, it will be able to sit on this vertical line. Let's have a look at the practice question together. So here it says, draw the graph of y equals to 5. So this follows the form of an equation where it says y equals to k, and we know that y equals to k will give us a horizontal line. But even if you don't know this, it is okay, because once you come up with the points and you connect them, you will actually see a horizontal line. So this is what you need to do. First, we need to understand what it means by y equaling to 5. Let's come up with 4 points. So I will have point A, B, C, and D. And my points will need to have both the x and the y coordinates. You remember that the x has to come first, followed by the y. And from the question that they gave us, they said, make sure your y equals to 5. What that means is my y coordinates for my points all has to be 5, and it cannot be anything else. But I can choose what I want for my x's. So let me choose just random numbers. I'll go with maybe 2 negative numbers and 2 positive numbers. So I'll say -3, -7, +2, and +5. Then I now have my 4 points and I'm ready to plot them. Let's label the axis. So y-axis and the x. Then we're ready to plot them. Starting with point A first, I have my x-coordinate of -3 and y-coordinate of 5. So starting at the origin, x is -3, then y is +5, so going up. Here is my point A. Point B has -7 as my x, so going to the left 7 steps, and 5 is my y coordinate, and so going up 5, this is my point B. Point C has x coordinate of 2 and y of 5. So starting at the origin, it's a positive 2 now. So positive 2 along the x-axis and 5 along the y. So 5 steps up. Here is my point C. And lastly, point D is 5 for x and 5 for y. So starting at the origin, 5 positive along the x and 5 positive along the y. So here is my point D. And when you connect these 4 dots together, it forms a straight line. And this is a horizontal line. So if you get asked to draw the graph of y equals to 5, what you need to do is come up with some example points. I would usually use 3 to 4 points and connect them to see where they should be sitting on the graph. And to say that any points where it has the y coordinate of 5 can sit on this line, I need to make sure that I draw my lines with 2 arrowheads so that any point with the 5 as my y coordinate can sit on this line called y equals to 5. Here's the last question for today. Draw the graph of x equals to -3. Now we know that x equaling to k, this will give us a vertical line. And we'll see if this is true. We first need to come up with a couple of points, and the x coordinate has to be -3 for all of them. So I'm going to have my point A, B, C, and D. And the coordinates for the x has to be -3 for all 4 of them. But my y coordinate can be anything. So I'm going to choose some random numbers, 2, 5, 0, and -4. Now we're going to plot them on this graph and see that it makes a vertical line. So first I'm going to label my axis, my y, and my x-axis. And with my coordinates, I know that the first number is the x-coordinate followed by the y-coordinate, and I must start at the origin. So starting here, let's plot point A. Point A has -3 on the x, so I need to go 3 steps to the left. And from here has the y 2. So going up 2 steps, here is my point A. So my A has the coordinates -3 and 2. Next, for my point B, I have -3 for my x, and I have 5 for the y. So starting at the origin, I need to go -3 on the x, so 3 steps to the left, and from here I need to go 5 along the y, so 5 steps up. So this is my point B, and it has the coordinates -3 and 5. Next point, I have C. It has the x coordinate of -3 and y is 0. So starting at the origin, -3 along the x and 0 as my y, so it means I have to stay. And so this point here is point C. And lastly, my point D has the x coordinate of -3 and the y coordinate of -4. So starting at the origin, I have to go 3 steps to the left and -4 on the y, so 4 steps down. So here is my point D. And when I connect these 4 dots, it forms a straight line, and it's a vertical line. Now remember that you need to extend the line and draw the arrowheads to indicate that any point where it has the x coordinate of -3 and any y can sit on this green line. And this green line that we just drew by finding the 4 example points A, B, C, D, this is called x equals 2, negative 3. And that's all for today's lesson on horizontal and vertical lines. Thanks for watching and follow me for more.